Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to Winedown Wednesday with Kecia. And today we're going to dive into this deep topic of what is a good man to you and why do you deserve that man? Now, there are many myths behind that, right? But first, I'm going to introduce the wine of the day. The wine of the day is from the Cupcake Vineyards, y'all. The Cupcake Vineyards. Cupcake has a very good line of red wines. I was first introduced by Cupcake from Miss Darlene. And then Mary brought this bottle. I was unable to download the label, but this is the Cupcake brand of lighthearted lighthearted rose. And lighthearted rose is a red blend. It more fits the palate of you people that like you white liquor drinkers like that gin and juice, and y'all like the what's the other white thing y'all the white liquor y'all drink? Vodka, Tito's. So that kind of goes with that usually aligns with your palate a little, if you like that. And of course, I'm a red wine drinker. I did taste it. It's a little bitter for me. It's a little tart. I don't like Kool-Aid tasting wines.
Nah.
So, but if that suits you, you can find it at Rouse's or anywhere that has a very good wine selection. It's about $10. It's very affordable, and guess what? It's easy on your calories, so you could go that way with that wine. So I know I never introduced my guests, so I'm gonna let my guests introduce themselves tonight because, of course, you see just Black people on here having conversations, but these are intelligent, educated, professional Black people that are on here, and we all have these different perspectives of these topics. So that's why I invite this a blended group all the time. So we're gonna start in the corner with the lady with the long braids in her head.
Okay.
With the
Well, hello.
brown braids.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Darlene, and I'm happy to be on today. And I'm not sure all that you wanted everybody to share, but I'm very happy to be here and to give my input on the topic tonight.
Okay. And what's your profession, Ms.
Oh,
Darlene?
I'm an LPC, licensed professional counselor.
Okay. So, and of course, you always see the gentleman down at the bottom.
The troublemaker, huh? That's what I am. The disruptor, huh? Well, I'm Bryson Shelton. Um, I'm a social worker and addictions counselor.
Wonderful.
And I guess that just leaves me, huh, Kecia?
Yep, that leaves my Gemini twin over here on the left.
Girl,
Also
so
a troublemaker.
I don't know. I'm trying to be good today. I've been cutting up all day. So I'm Demetrius Morris. I am a former counselor. I have a master's in counseling and in education. And I am a case manager, a housing director, and all of the above.
And don't forget a good travel agent.
And a good travel agent. Amen.
Amen.
I wear many hats. I also am the founder of a nonprofit.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, we always holding conversations about all type of things. So these are people that I talk to on a normal basis, and the topic always comes up with females is like we always talking about a good man, how we want a good man, but I thought about like what is a good man because that picture looks different for everybody, right? And why do we think we deserve to have this particular image of a good man in our lives? Why do we deserve that?
Yeah.
So, so, and and my question is, since Darlene, you're still married, because everyone that has been married, but you still are in a relationship, a healthy relationship with your spouse.
Yeah.
So I want to know, did you put that out there and envision, okay, this is the type of man I want? And when you thought of that, like, what did you envision as opposed to what you have at home?
Oh, goodness. That is Interesting question. You know, I never really gave it that much thought. You know, when it comes down to characteristics of a man, I think I always attracted a certain kind of guy. Someone who was just really nice to me and family oriented and good personality and hardworking and knew how to use his hands and good sense of humor. And but I don't recall putting that out there. I don't ever recall making like a list of attributes or characteristics that I want in a man. I don't ever really remember doing that. Um, I just don't remember. But I just knew that they had to have a good personality, I guess hardworking, family oriented, uh, just a really good person. You know, a good dad if need be, just a really good person. I know that's kind of boring, right? But to answer your question, I don't recall like putting that out
So
there.
you never, when you were single, you just never sat down and this is what I want. Because let me tell you,
Oh,
I sit down every day and this is my perspective.
I don't know if you're going out or if it's me, but
Doug, you
I
frozen, I
I
think.
I never so I didn't put a list either. I don't think that there's such a thing. When you talk about a good man, I think a good man, it depends on the person. Like it's like about compatibility, right?
mm-hmm.
What's good for her may not be good for me. And
Right.
so it is not going to necessarily. So to me, I break it down into um protect, provide, and perform, right? And that performance means showing up in your relationship, right? So but what that showing up looks like has to be what my needs are, right? And what that looks like for me in the relationship with me that makes you a good man and a good fit for me. So and why do I deserve one? Because I'm a hell of a chick. I mean,
Thank
that's
you.
just that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who has taken the time to get to know me um has never disagreed, whether it's male or female. So um I don't require anything that I cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so why do I deserve it? Because I'm a hell of a chick.
Yeah. I so agree with like of course, you know, I believe everyone deserves to be loved. Everybody deserves to be respected, be with someone who loves them. Of course, you got to
Mhm.
believe that you're the baddest thing walking the land.
Correct.
Of course, you deserve it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And people deserve what they're willing to put the work in for. That's,
Mm-hmm.
you got to put work
Mm.
in.
Yes.
Um Biggest thing is people don't think people want stuff, but they don't want to work for it and they don't put no work in once they get it. Like, it's just
Mhm.
supposed to sit there. I remember being a wife and having to be almost like a trophy. Like, don't do this, don't go here, don't, like can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not really, what people think in relationships is not really the real thing. And so you have to be able to put some work in.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And not many people willing to do that.
No, not with, and we all come into every situation, whether female or male relationship, with our own individual personalities.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that one person should have to bow down or assimilate into someone else's personality to make that the perfect person for me. Because I think and as you say, you have to learn how to put the work in to know that, we have to meet in the middle at some point in order to make this thing work
Correct.
to me. Because everything in life is about equilibrium. So, you can't have some more of one thing and not enough of the other. It has to be equal.
Got to be a
So
balance. Absolutely.
it most definitely, and in most relationships, and I think some guys think that when you put the word protect, of course, we all want to protect her, right? But in a male's mindset, what does that look like as far as him being a protector? And sometimes I think they go overboard where they don't allow you to exude in yourself. And not all men are like that, but I think some men lack a little lack confidence in certain areas and don't
Yeah,
know how.
because you still want to breathe. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to breathe.
Yes, you have to be able, and that's that's one thing. That is how I think you run. And I'm not just gonna say men. I mean women away. You have to, especially if you have a woman that's free and you see that woman is independent and a go-getter, you have to allow her to become into her own woman. And you have to learn how to grow with her as she's growing as a woman, professionally and personally, because we have to learn how to balance those two things as professional women. So I think most men don't really understand that. They still see the vision of, and some of these men, their mothers never worked a day in their lives. They came from a two-parent household. The dad worked and the mom stayed at home. Or there was always a woman in the home to be the caregiver for the children. When that is not that way these days. I mean, we all have to get up in the morning, tie our shoestrings, and get out and hustle to make the thing work. So I think but I do think also we manifest things into our lives. We open up ourselves up to a lot of things too. So you definitely have to put it out in the atmosphere, like I hear these old ladies in church say, if you want a husband, baby, you gotta pray, you gotta ask God exactly for what you want. But that never worked for me because whatever I wanted, the opposite came, which is the
The word that comes to my mind is carriage. How you carry yourself,
Yes,
right?
I
It
agree.
just popped as you're saying that, right? When you inquired about, oh, did I think about this or that? And probably what it was with me, it was just the way I carried myself. And then as I carried myself a certain way, I attracted a certain type of person, right? And it's funny because over the weekend I had a moment and I was with my one of my stepsons and we were out. We were seeing your cousin Kecia at the Soul Rebels concert. And my stepson, he had a cousin there who was being very helpful, asking me if I needed a cocktail or anything. But he doubled back and was like, oh, he was like explaining about, how nice he was and all the men in his family are the same way. And I just looked at him and I put my hand on his shoulder. I'm like, basically, I'm saying to myself, why are you explaining this to me? But I saw where he was going with it. But I said to me, I said, sweetheart, he's being a man and he's being respectful. I expect nothing less. I expect you to be around men who are courteous and respectful of women and asking if they need anything and checking in and all that type of stuff. But it dawned on me that for some reason he felt obligated to mention that. So then I think to myself, well, what is he around? Right? That women wise, where they have to explain that. And to me, I'm saying to myself, no, I expect someone to come to me and to be respectful and to ask me what I may need. And that's why the word carriage comes to mind, because I'm wondering how people are carrying themselves to attract the mate that they want,
I
or the
agree.
people they want to be around, or environments they want to be around.
I agree. I think, and you said something that was really like profound because I think about, many of the people, because I have to steadily encourage men and talk to men a lot. Because they talk about how women don't appreciate them and how women have this negative connotation of who they are and what the expectation is, and also the low um requirements, right, that women have. And so then they find women like ourselves that they feel like, okay, hey, they can treat them the same because of whatever their experiences have been with other women that are similar to us. And so having that expectation and saying, okay, and setting it and standing on it is like, look, I mean, it's so easy. And I think you can do things and not be ugly about it. Cause like I curve many people,
Yes.
right? But you can curve them with respect, right? Because I
Yes.
don't have to disrespect you to say I'm not interested.
Hey, cutie.
I got some grandchildren that just love to be in the camera.
Of course.
Y'all lights back on? Yeah. All right. So the lights has been restored.
Great. Power is important.
So so anywho, that's what I was saying because I got distracted by grandchildren.
It's okay. They're the future. They're important.
Yes. And look, and they're taking everything that we say.
look, they was in the other room and they must have got the alert on their phones that it's on. And so,
there it is.
But when I mean, from a male's perspective, I mean, what do you think when they say I want a good man, Bryson? Like, what does that look like for you? Hey, cutie. Say hi.
I always laugh at that statement in my head because I think being a good man or woman is synonymous to the individual you're dealing with, right? What might be good to one woman might not be good to the next, right? So my thing, and I tell my sons this all the time, like focus on being the best human you could be, right? And whoever is meant to be in your life will be in your life based on who you are as an individual as a whole, right? Because we have a paradigm shift going on in the black community when it come down to men and women, right? Because the roles are changing and the viewpoint of the roles are changing, right? Like I was taught that a man is supposed to protect, provide, and procreate. That was what was given to us as young men, and I'm 50, right? So we like if I pay these bills, I don't beat on you and I don't cheat on you. You know what I'm saying? I bring you flowers every now and then. Make sure you get treated right for Mother's Day, and your birthday, and we was taught that was being a good man. But fast forward into a time like now, right? And it's like that's not enough. Like men in my generation wasn't taught to be very emotionally in tune creatures, right? We would catch on to things based on like your attitude at the time. Like I noticed you different, so I wasn't taught to be like, "Babe, what's the matter? I could see something different with you," right? I was taught like, "Girl, what's wrong with you? You're not yourself today," right? So, so,
You're
so,
saying
so
not many soft skills.
yeah, exactly, right. But I can just speak for the men of my generation, right? We sometimes feel like the women of our generation want us to instantly take on attributes that's going on now and not understand where we came from, right? Like we have to get there, Like I was joking with a friend of mine last night, and it's like I was hungry, right? So he said, "Man, what happened to all the women that you call and you be like, man, what's going on? What you got going on?" And they be like, "Oh, I'm at the house. I just cooked." And it's like, "Can I come get something to eat?" Right? But now we are to the age bracket now where most of y'all children grown, they out the door, y'all ain't cooking, y'all got 3, 4 jobs. You see what I'm saying, right? So, but that was a tool at one time used for us to get together to have a conversation and get to know each other on a deeper level, right? But now that's not there. You know, Another thing is like the other day I was talking to Kecia when she was about to have a little procedure, and she said men just do stupid stuff, right? Like you send them to the grocery store and they call you 3 times, like, "What's this is you want? What's that you want? What's this?" And our mind's just not programmed like that. First of all, we don't even want to go to the grocery store. I'm only going to the grocery store so I can kind of hush you up a little bit, right? Like, okay, my old lady want me to go to the grocery store, so I'm gonna go grab this stuff. And I'm calling so when I get home with the stuff, I don't have to hear your mouth about complaining about I got the wrong stuff, right? But then we also know that if we call more than once, then that's still an argument in itself. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
Jeez, Bryson, I get it, but Lord, That
Yeah,
sounded kind of harsh. I'm only doing this to shut you up or
I
whatever.
mean, listen,
Anyway,
the best
I'm
I
like,
can do.
Lord, this is my right
But
here.
in that
It
instance,
sounded
he
so
thought he was being a good man. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
no, listen, but if I'm gonna be on here and I'm a talk to y'all, I'm gonna talk to y'all and let y'all know how we think in our minds, opposed to how we present it to you all, right? Because the good man part of me is I'm just doing it to shut you up. But when I'm talking to you and I show up at home, I'm bubbly about it. Like, babe, I went and got da 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 da, right? I'll never fully be in the mode of here. This what you wanted, you know what I'm saying, right? But it's like the last thing I want to do, and I understand the same thing with y'all, is when I get off from work, I don't won't stop at Walmart. You know,
okay. Can I throw this out there? See,
Yeah.
to me, being together is like a partnership. Okay, so I can only speak from my experience. And yes, I've been married for a while and
so
we've
that
been
means you got a
together.
lot of experience.
What'd you say, Bryson?
I said, so that means you have a lot of experience.
Right. But so where I'm going with is that a rhythm needs to be created, right? So there's a lot of things that I do in a day, right? I'm not going to, it's going to be very rare in my experience that I may blindside my husband with, hey, babe, where you at? Can you pop over to Walgreens or can you pop over to Rouse's to get whatever? It's kind of very rare because in my experience, what's great is to try and talk about a few things ahead of time. Like in the morning, hey, what do you want for dinner? And then it's like, okay, if there's a routine or a rhythm, how can we execute what we want for dinner, right? And so then there is the communication in the event, like, oh man, hun, I know I'm making whatever, but you're out of hot sauce. I know he needs hot sauce to go on his food. And I'd be like, do you mind where you at? Can you pop over? Yep, I'm going to pop over. Like, it just comes with communication versus like maybe blindsiding versus him feeling like, man, I got to go get her this and da 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 da. But it's for our dinner.
But it's most of that you the good woman because you called and said you thought about him not having the hot sauce.
Yeah, right.
So
So
you
that's
saw he was actually going to the store for himself. He wasn't going for y'all. So you were the good person, and I think that sometimes when we are in relationship, every relationship that I've ever been in, I'm not gonna say the guy wasn't a good man, a good guy, because like you said, what may be good for other people may not be good for me. He may not have been a good person for me, but out of everyone that I've been with, and it ain't been a lot, but I all the good qualities that they have poured into me is something that I've taken from their relationship. Like one may have taught me to be more mindful. Like if I see you don't have hot sauce, I can call you to about the hot sauce because that's a sign of selflessness that you're thinking about someone else. Whereas opposed to another person may have taught me to be more business savvy and to be on my business and not to be afraid of people and ask what I want. So we take those qualities from
add up.
people that make us who we are as an individual when we're with these different individuals. So I can't ever say that a man is not a good man because the good man quality for me would never meet my standards. So in hindsight, I have to adapt to another person in their ways and everything, because if it was the perfect person, he would just come into my life in all of our lives and we would not have to adjust to anything but just to pull up at the table and eat the steak. But
Right.
you have to work at everything in every relationship that we go into. So my thing is it that we are created, like we calling out for a good man? Is that the good man? And as you gave the example from the qualities that you've gotten from the relationship that you're in, Darlene, it shows that, hey, they're making me a good person. I'm a good woman. I'm a good communicator. I'm a better nurturer than I was. Because these are the qualities that you have, things that you're pouring into him, as you know, it's vice
Yes.
versa. And
Right.
if you don't have anything equally to contribute to the relationship, then that's the black hole right there.
Right. Yeah. It's
like
like,
I don't even,
huh?
I personally don't even think about like I have to be a good man, like
You
in reference to a woman, right?
you
Like I don't carry that train of thought. I just carry the train of thought that I'm going to be Bryson, who I think is a good person, right? And if I'm just Bryson and whoever I'm supposed to deal with, if we go on dates, see, I think dating is very important, right? And at this age, I feel like dating with transparency on who you are is very important, right? So that way, the person that you're dating could see you like there's no reason to hide my parts. Like in my professional life, I'll be in a meeting with 12 people and say, yeah, I'm a convicted felon and I used to have a drug problem, right? But if I'm dating, then I feel like I want to hold that back because I don't want to be judged, right? But then 8 months down the line, then that portion comes out and it's like this person have a problem with dating convicted felons, right? So for me, it's just like I'm just gonna put everything on the front line. This is who I am. This is my flaws. This is and let
yeah,
you make a decision, right?
that's Bryson. To me, you don't have to walk around thinking about being a good man, and just like I don't think women have to walk around saying I'm being a good woman. Just be. And
Exactly.
if the evolution of your relationship takes you to a point where of transparency that you have to give that you think it's best to share certain information, that's okay. That is totally okay. There's
I
no
like
set
the
time. Yeah.
No, Darlene, I like what you said when you talked about like just how you adjusting, because one of the things that brought me to when you telling your story about like dinner and hot sauce and so on and so forth, and growing a rhythm, I look at it as a good man and a good woman fit, right? Together when they're able to establish that rhythm and be
Yes.
able
Right.
to grow each other up, right? And then
Right.
each person is willing to make the changes and the
Yes.
adaptations in order to make the relationship survive. And then what happens, I think, Bryson, is that the person know hopefully you won't feel like I'm just going to shut her up. I'm going because I want to, right? I'm
Exactly.
going because now this is our routine. This is our thing. Because at that point, it's not because then it's like I want to go, because when a woman is cooking for you or a woman is doing things, she's doing it because she want to. It's not because I just don't want him to come in here fussing, or I don't want him to come in here and think or whatever, right? It's like most of us, a good woman, like, right? So since we're talking about good women, good fits, that kind of thing, or good men and good fits or whatever, I feel like it has to come in a place where we want to do these things for each other because this is the best thing to do, because I want this person to be happy, and then it's reciprocated.
Yes. Can I add
Right.
that?
Right.
Let me add one more thing. It's like a mindset shift from me to we.
Yes,
Like if
yes.
if
And that, yeah,
if they're not
Perfect.
exactly.
right, then
Perfect.
we're not right. Right?
Yes.
Okay, I got a good example of that. Okay, going back to the Soul Rebels weekend. Okay. I had my schedule. The next day, realized my husband wanted to have a cookout of sorts. Okay, but I had a whole bunch of stuff scheduled that day. And he was like, well, I'm ordering food from this place, and then I'm going to go get crawfish from this place. And I'm like, I'm calculating in my brain everything that needs to happen. And he's saying, without saying it, you go do what you need to do, Darlene. I'm going to get all of this stuff because this is
Uh-huh.
what I need to get done. So with that said, there was a break in my schedule, and I was like, hey, you go one way, I'm going another way to get ABCD, the relief. I was like, there's no way you can do all this on your own,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, it was a we thing. And I knew it was something that he wanted to do. He was being respectful of my time, but I knew he wanted to be right. Right. And if
Right.
it went from just him to we. So the rhythm, the mindset, but we did have to grow to this.
But you
Mm-hmm.
know what I noticed in past situations that when the ebb and flow kind of becomes natural, with the right individual,
Yes.
right? Because it'll be like going back to the previous comment. If I'm getting off from work and I know I'm heading that way, I'm gonna call first. Like, look, I'm just leaving work. You know what I'm saying? You need me to make any stops, blah blah blah, on my way in, right? Or like, yeah, I had a situation with my ex, kind of like you explained, Darlene. She decided that she wanted to have this money.
Uh-oh. Can't hear you, Bryson. Can you hear us?
Can't hear you.
Yeah, his volume went out.
Your volume went out, Bryson.
Oh,
Oh,
let me.
I
Y'all
can hear
hear
you
me
now.
now?
Yes.
Yes.
So
All
what
right.
was your story?
So
Ex wanted to have something.
so we decided to do it the day before Mother's Day, though, right?
Mhm.
So get all this, and I'm hustling, busting, trying to make it happen because it's Mother's Day, right? But she called all her people and said, "We doing this thing, right?" She left to go get her hair fix and nails done. So the whole time I'm setting it all up by myself. People start showing up. She's not there. She show up late, right? As something you invited all these people to your house for, right? So that brought on a sense of frustration
Yes.
because it's like, like, dang, wait, you decided to put this on. It's at the house, right?
Yep.
So why did you put all this on me and
Yep.
then disappear for majority of the day, right? But on the flip side of that, if I decide to do something, I'm doing it. And then you can assist me, right? So it's just based on the individual that you're dealing with, right? Like, uh,
Mhm.
I'm, I'm just thinking of earlier when I was talking about men being protectors, right? So the truth of the matter is, every man is not a protector,
That's a fact.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for every man you meet to be a protector, right? Then I don't know what to tell you. Because being a man, some men not capable of fully protecting themselves, right? So how can you expect him to protect you? But I feel like y'all recognize that when y'all first dating this man, right? And then continue on, right, to date him anyway, and then feel like he can't protect you, right? And then a lot of times too, protection is not just protecting you from outside harms. Sometimes I have to protect you from yourself, right?
That's fact.
If
Yes,
if,
absolutely.
if you are most professional women, right? So you're a professional woman, you on go, 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 go mode, right? And it's like, I'm your man and I'm watching you headed to a burnout, right? So I'm trying to like fit in there and ease some of that for you, but I'm also telling you, like, babe, you need to slow down, right?
Mm.
That's me trying to protect you from yourself. Or if you making your own money, but you not good with budgeting your money, right? And I'm not trying to control your money, but it's like, guess what? If you robbing Peter to pay Paul, but you make $150,000 a year, that means there's something you're not doing properly to manage your money. So if I love you and I care about you, I'm going to say something, right? All of that falls in the line of protection, right? But the person you're dealing with has to be mature enough to receive it as that and not control. Does that make any
Absolutely.
sense?
Definitely. And I think like so going back to what you said, Bryson, I think protection looks different, right? Protection doesn't always come in bravado, right? Some of it doesn't have to
Mhm.
come in the strength part because, like, if you know you can't fight, then I don't want you jumping in no fight talking about you about to protect me, right? Your protection might be like, let's roll. You know what I'm saying? You might be the one to
Yeah.
go get the call and be like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? That's it,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
protection just looks different to everybody, you know. So just making sure that a person is protected in other ways. um so I don't know, I think that everybody shows up for who they want to show up for. And
Mhm.
Big.
so yeah, so
It
that's
doesn't have
why,
to be
so
that
you can't
complicated. Yeah.
you can't let you know what you need and what you want, how you present yourself, you know, the package, the carriage, or whatever. Definitely has to be the thing that is inside of you, though, because if not, what happens is people will wait you out,
Mhm.
right? They wait you out, whether it's men or women. They will wait you out. That representative will show up so good, and they will wait you out. So it has
Mhm.
to be embedded in you on who you really are and what you really are seeking, and then you have to actually be um actively pursuing it. right? Because I know Kecia, you had mentioned like saying those things or whatever and calling it out. I don't think I've ever, but I attract the energy in which I desire, right? And so, and then as you recognize that, okay, hey, this is not the energy that I want, then you reject it and you push it away, right? And then you, okay, hey, this not flow, right? So if it don't flow with me, then they got to flow away from me.
Yeah, and I think as women too, we have to recognize when we are in a trauma bond, and a lot of people don't even know what that is. And I think when you're in a stage when you're healing from something, you just can't jump into a relationship with someone
Stay by yourself.
and that's like you're just pulling yourself. It's just like a drug addict going to a dispensary tour. You just you're setting yourself up for failure. Correct. So it's like, and I think for the most part, and I said, I call it out there and whatever I want, but the devil also hears everything that you say, as well as the universe. There's always something spinning against what your expectation is, regardless of what. But I think because like I was in a really bad relationship, and when I came out of that really terrible relation, and it wasn't a bad relationship, it was toxic again. And I think most of my relationships has spun off of the trauma bond, because you experience trauma and then you go from one fucked up human being to the next, and it just pouring everything fucked up into your soul until it seems like you're a magnet for the fuckery.
I got a question to that though.
Don't
right?
do it, Bryson. Don't do it. Don't do my girl that. Bryson, don't do it.
The public needs to know. America needs to know, right?
What?
So if you coming out of a traumatic relationship, right, and you have all this stuff that's from that traumatic relationship, and then you jump in another relationship, how do you not know that you're not the person bringing the toxicity, right? Because if you never dealt with the situation from the first relationship and then you jump immediately into another one, you have unresolved issues. So not anything that person does, a lot of stuff that person does, look like what the last person did, and you can easily be creating issues, right? But putting it on the other person.
And guess what? And you're absolutely right about that. But like I was about to say, when you start to heal, then you start to recognize that, like you said, I am what I attract. So I'm not gonna put it all on the other person and say it was for the first relationship was messed up. I went from one thing to another bad thing, knowing, recognizing the red signs, the red flags, like you said. But I didn't pay attention to the red flags, because we all have our triggers. We all have the things that soothe our triggers. People bind on certain different levels and because of certain situations. So you bind with somebody over something. I already got stuff going on in my life. I know I'm not ready for a relationship, but I let this person, because they kept coming after me, I let them convince me to be, knowing that I wasn't ready. So yes, I brought everything that was toxic and dirty from that relationship into that one, because to me, now you look like the last one that I was with, because I have not healed from everything that I was going on there. So the least little thing this one do, or he remind me of that one. So now, instead of me looking at myself to say, well, why do I attract the same person over and over again? I'm not even recognizing that it's something in me that attracts this. So I'm not going to say that it's the other person. It most definitely, I'm the common denominator in a situation. In every situation, I'm the common denominator here. So if it starts first with me, and that's a thing that most women go through. We don't fully heal, and what we think is a good man, just because that man giving you dollars on top of dollars, he taking care of you, he's doing things, he a nice person to you, but he also have his motives. That's why he tricking off like that, because ain't no man gonna come into your life and just start. So he done had traumas too. That's how he get women or whatever's going on with him. You dating a trick nigga, you know this a trick nigga. You already messed up. You don't care what's going on. So now you done latched on to this
Well, the
person
hood
because
Keisha that came out. Now go
Oh,
ahead. Go
no,
ahead, Keisha.
he was
Lord, this girl, wait, let me tell y'all, when I get triggered, it comes out.
We
But
see it. Look, Bryce said what I said. Didn't I? I started off saying, "Don't do it." You didn't
Don't do it,
listen.
man. But see,
don't do it.
what
Don't do it,
I,
Bryson. Don't do it.
I,
I said I
I'm a,
begged him,
I'm
didn't
gonna
I?
say this. I'm gonna
y'all
say
don't
this, right?
he don't know y'all. He don't know.
I don't know. I worked with you for 2 years. I know exactly who you are. But I see. Sometimes it's like I try to judge each person for who they are, right? But when me and my wife separated, I had like a 6 year period that I was single, right? So, in my being single, of course, you meet women, you try to date them and stuff like that, right? And what I noticed, right, was almost every woman that I ran across that was coming out of a relationship was trying to get right back in one, right? And it would be like, well, sweetie, I'm doing this, right? When I don't have time for nobody wasting my time. So I would literally be like, well, dang, you just came out of a relationship. You don't want to enjoy being single for a while, right? Well, what we doing? And I would literally be like, we having fun, right? Or either I would meet women that were single for an extended period of time, right? And we having a good time. We go out to eat, we go to have drinks, we might take a little day trip or something like that. And I can only speak for myself as a man, right? I have never been one to go straight for the coolie, right? I just never been that guy, right? So my mind always was, if I'm not pressuring you about sex and we going out having a good time, why do you feel like this needs to be a relationship? When you wasn't doing anything when I met you. You told me you were single and dudes was chumps when I met you. So now that we going out on dates and stuff and I'm not asking for nothing, right? I'm not asking you for nothing. I'm not texting you saying, hey, when you gonna come by my house and spend the night, or can I come by your house and spend the night? Why does it become pressure to define it and let's move forward when we still just really get to know each other?
The word that comes to my mind is validation. The like the coupling or recoupling, it's like to get a validation, like, oh, I'm still good enough, right? It may not, people don't have the words, right? Like we have, women, I've seen it, it's like I've heard it, like, oh, I've broken up, I need to cut my hair, I need a new me, I'm hitting the gym, I'm doing all this, I'm gonna get my effing girl dress and all of this stuff, right? And possibly see who else I can possibly attract, because needing that possible validation that I still got it, girl. I still got it. And it can look like possibly, oh, it's the need to be in another relationship, when really what it is that they aren't maybe healed, right? And they're trying to find themselves because they're feeling lost and they need that validation. So it may not be as black as white as, I now need to jump into another relationship. It's that validation of, I still got it. See, you don't want me, somebody else does. Just a random thought.
Oh, that's good. No, that was
Yeah,
good.
that was 100% good. Because men go through that, right?
Mhm.
Listen, when me and my wife went through our separation, right? I went and bought me a dog, right? Because I would be in the house by myself and would be lonely, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what I didn't want to do, and I didn't want to enter my mess into somebody else's situation, right? And then the reason why I feel like I say that is because in the workforce that I've been in, you work with predominantly women anyway, right? So you hear what they call it, the cooler talk and stuff like that, right? So I just, when I was gone from my wife, I didn't want to be that guy, right? That I'm trying to fill that void with you, and you, right? Knowing that if my wife got it together or we was able to work it out, I was going back over there, right? So I got me a dog, right? And I named my dog Stella, right? Because I was trying to get my groove back, right? But what I also did was, but what I also realized I did was I participated in a whole lot of retail therapy, right? And and that was because I was trying to look good so I could see y'all who I know I wasn't gonna approach, right? Look at me across the club, right? I just wanted to be looked at, like, ooh, look at his fine self, right? But
Yep. See,
I
like
was
you
not
still got
prepared.
it. Like you still got
Yeah,
it.
exactly. But what I wasn't trying to do was damage somebody else because I knew I wasn't healed. And I
Mhm.
know that's not always
Right.
quality for a lot of men because we are raised the best way to get over one is to get a new one. You know what I'm saying? Right? But I have a sister, I have a mama, I have nieces, right? And I always just felt like I don't want nobody to do it to them. Now, when I'm on my thought thing as a man, I'm gonna tell you I'm on my thought thing, no, right? Like right now, I ain't trying to be in a relationship, but I do you something, no. You know, if you want something did to you, I do you something, no. But just know I'm not ready to be in no relationship, right?
I
And,
love it.
and you know what's funny? I'm gonna be quiet after this, though. What was funny is even the women who signed up for that, right?
Don't be ready.
Somewhere down the line tried to change it into something other than that. And when I stood on my grounds, like, no, this is not what it is, then I became a low down so and so, no good. And it's like when I explained to you what it was from the beginning, right? So just because you want to take it somewhere else, and I'm saying no, that does not make me not a good man or some low down dude or whatever, whatever, you know?
Yeah, they wanted you to lie to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
for their low self-esteem because the thing they thought when you were telling them that they thought the power of the cooch was gonna trap you and
Yeah.
and lure you into that's their way of manipulation and see that they got mad because when you didn't submit to that lust that they were trying to offer in a relationship because that was the only way they thought that they could get you. So now I'm mad because I didn't win. So they felt like they lost. That's why
Mm.
they're feeling that way. But I just feel like you should never give more than you receive in any relationship. And if someone tells you that this is all I want, and you submit yourself to that, you have absolutely no right to get mad or
Absolutely.
act a fool. Now that person on the other hand, if you was a liar and you telling her, oh baby, I'm gonna give myself, or you giving her the actions, your words saying one thing and your actions saying something else, then that's also triggers to some women. So
I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna let you speak. But I still have a problem with this because if I'm dealing with you, right, and you have a need and I'm dealing with you, it's just naturally in me to try to help with that need, right? Because I'm dealing with you. That don't mean I want to be with you like far as we go together. But case in point, I was dealing with this young lady and she was a part of the flood back when Baton Rouge flooded like really bad, right? So her house flooded and everything. I had a little money at the time and we was dealing with each other, right? So the insurance money fell like $3,000 short, and she had two children, right? So for me, it's like I go to the club and buy a section and waste $3,000, right? So if your repairing of your house is $3,000 short and you got two kids, for me that's a no-brainer. Here, take these $3,000. You know what I'm saying? But I was told later on that I should not have done that because if I had no intention of being with her like that, why would I help her out like that? But in my mind, just was like that's what you're supposed to do when you even dealing with somebody, especially when it turns physical. You know,
Okay,
if we getting it in, then and I don't know.
that's called being a man. To me,
yes,
that's called being a man.
yes.
But going to
Being a
what
man.
Keisha said, that could be those actions are like boyfriend husband actions that
Well,
could
I
lead a
live in the
person to.
gray. I
No,
live in the
you ain't
gray.
listening because Keisha earlier said that you're tricking. You ain't hear what Keisha said. You're tricking the money. So don't. I'm just saying you missed it. That don't mean boyfriend.
I, I,
That
see, I
don't
feel,
mean boyfriend and
I,
girlfriend.
listen,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
I call
I,
that being a man. Hands down, I call
yeah.
that being a man. I get that. That I don't call that as tricking. I call that as being a man. You saw a need. There's a woman who's in need, and
you
it
fulfill that need.
made sense what was going on. That and you had it to give, and you didn't expect for it to come back. To me, that was just being a man.
And you're right, it is being a man, and there's a difference between being a trick and doing what you're supposed to do as a man. Yeah, so the trick part is because I don't want somebody thinking they gotta buy me a drink and it being a trick. So it is. Now, if you giving me money with the expectation and all we having is sex, and you giving me money, and and because we're having a transactional relationship at that point, there's no feelings or nothing in it. We just have a transactional relationship, and you giving me $4,000-5,000. We don't have nothing going on. You doing whatever you want to do. We have established. I give you sex, you give me money. That's tricking. You understand?
I have something to add to the topic. So just kind of listening to where we are. But I would say that a good man is a man who deals with his stuff, but also gives grace to the woman who he meets, who may be still dealing with her stuff, right? And the same thing. And for a woman who deserves a good man is a woman who knows that she's not perfect, that she will give grace while he deals with his stuff, and vice versa.
Oh my goodness.
You hit that one.
That hit that right on the nose.
Yep. Hit it. You hit it. That's very accurate.
I feel like dating past 45 has just been treacherous. I cannot lie. It's like everybody walking around with unresolved issues, and it's like, man,
because no one wants to be honest with themselves. Pete, I'm listening over here. Whoever Eugene is, something I know.
I was reading that. He said, "No, that."
I think that's the truth. Is I've learned now. I don't take people's identity or issue of me, especially if I have some good people on my team who can be honest with me. And I'm a self-checker, right? I check myself often. I check in with my people, my friends. If I see something reoccurring too many times in my life, it's time to do a self-evaluation, right? To figure out why I'm attracting that thing, or why I'm doing that thing, or why that thing is around me too much, right? And so I do my self-evaluation. So a lot of times what I get is people are just not honest with themselves, and they're not really ready to deal with it. So because they're not ready to deal with it, they project that onto someone else, and they create a toxic environment because they don't want to deal with their own stuff. And that's not a good person to be around anyway. You just leave them, let them people have whatever idea of you that they want to have. Like people say, whatever people say about you behind your back is not your business.
Ain't got nothing to do. Cross the street and keep it moving.
Yeah, you can feel whatever you want to feel, and add your mom and them too. I don't care.
And that adds a lot of toxicity to relationships when you constantly have to prove yourself, because any relationship and you're equally yoked, you don't have to prove anything. That everything just falls in line. And that's what, in a relationship, that's what it is all about, being aligned and in tune with one another. So, and Eugene is crazy, but but I mean, that's exactly what it is. But they have men out here that feel like they are good men, and you may be a good man. No one can question
somebody else,
but you're just not that man.
For me, that's it. I hate know you, but baby, let's go. Let's move on.
I got a question. I told my partner I was gonna be on here, and he said, "I need you to ask this question to the ladies." I said, "All right, what's the question?" So he said, "Why do women feel like them simply not cheating makes them a good woman?"
Oh,
I don't think that's true. I don't think that women think that. They might have some women that use that when they're describing it, because they don't have the words, like Miss Darlene said, they don't have the words to describe all of the things that make them a good woman. Because I know when people put me on the spot and ask me certain things, I'll be like, oh, if I'm not prepared for that question, I might not say all of the things that make me wonderful, right? But it don't mean that I ain't.
Right.
Yeah. But I think we all wonderfully made in some sense or other.
Tell you,
Real.
black girl magic, babe.
Yes. So, but I think as like overall as people, we need to learn how it's not just a woman thing, it's not just a man thing. I think it's a people thing that we have to learn how to. And the word goes back to what I got out of all of this. You have to respect one another. And respect goes so many ways and so many different directions of respecting who a person is, respecting where they are, respecting how they live their lifestyle, and how they keep house and all of that. You have to respect one another and learn how to grow with each other in a sense.
Absolutely.
As one. Because as going back to what Darlene says, when you're in a relationship with someone, it's no longer a you thing, it's a we thing. So, and I've heard a lot of times, like women always say, well, that's my money in a separate bank account. I don't need to tell my husband what I have and things like that. I got a rainy day fund and all that. You got a rainy day fund to leave your husband? So the thing is, there should be no secrets in a relationship. If
Correct.
I made $5,000 more than I made last week, that's something I want to celebrate with my meat. And not thinking because if I had $5,000 extra on a check, that or some kind of way I'm gonna wind up spending my money on him and not doing the things that I want to do. I want to celebrate that, and when we're good to each other, I think we should reward each other. And that's all about showing each other love when we cater to our mates. And
Right.
we
Let me add this, but before that, in my opinion, there has to be a certain level of communication, right? And transparency on the front end, right? Like to me, that whole hiding and this is mine and this and that, you're not ready, or you're in the wrong relationship if you feel you have to operate that way.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sure, have a rainy day fund, but make sure your mate has access to it. Right? I'm just saying, like, I just don't believe that people can wholeheartedly be in a relationship together if they're not transparent about money or having access to each other's money or just being honest and being able to talk. That mentality of this is mine, I take care of this and they take care of that. This is no, you're not ready. And those are the same people in my brain who are marching around saying, I'm a good woman. If you got to say you're a good woman or you're a good man, that's kind of like the reverse to me, because I'm like, duh,
Red flag.
not a good human being. You should be a good woman.
Worst nigga I ever met in my life was a good man.
I tell people, go ask my ex-wife. You know what I'm saying? If you want to know, go ask my ex-wife. I can't define that. I'm just not getting to the point as a man that I'm starting to realize that the way I was raised, I determined my goodness based upon how the woman I was dealing with, how well I took care of the woman I was dealing with, right? And like my self worth came from how happy my wife was, how well I took care of my children, right? And I'm just not like I'm dealing with that right now, right? That my self worth should not be tied to how happy I make somebody else, right?
Yes.
Because what I realized is in my pursuit to make somebody else happy, then I was kind of letting myself down and the relationship didn't work any doggone way,
The happiness starts with you. You're not responsible for anyone else's happiness, and they're not responsible for yours. Right? And so it's like that thing on the airplane. You got put the mask on yourself first before you put it on anyone else. That is totally the truth. I am telling you right now, love my husband. We are in this. I convert. Like in order for me to take care of him so well, I've got to prioritize me and take care of me and my happiness, my well-being, every single thing. You cannot mess your happiness on how well you do something for someone else. And he's the same way. I'm a bonus mom, and he understands what I'm saying. And I've had to tell him, like, no, you've got to take care of you first.
Right.
Your measure
And
cannot be how well you, okay, when they were little, they're little, you buy stuff, you do things as a parent. I get it. But now they're grown. But you've got to be mindful of not thinking that your happiness relies on how well you're doing for someone else. You got to
right.
start with taking care of you and being happy with yourself first.
Yeah.
That's my two
See
cents.
how y'all got me exposing myself on this little podcast? I'm a man. We ain't
I
supposed to expose some of
see,
this stuff
that
into
is
the
big
public like this
self-talk. That is
Tell them, tell them how it's supposed to go, Bryson. That's tell them how it's supposed to go.
Just like even now, right? Because of my situation I'm going through, right? Like I can't even date, and I know some people still do it, but it's just like, boy, my money not right. I got a certain situation going on, so it's like, man, I don't have time to be dating nobody.
the thing is,
I
Bryce,
don't even
right?
have it in
Like,
me to date anybody. Like my mood is not even a mood for dating, if that makes any sense. You
you
know?
got wait, remember, Bryson, everybody's coming from somewhere. Everyone is coming from some place. Everyone got something. Everyone's got something, and everybody's coming from some place. So be mindful of that. Yeah, you have things going on, but that still doesn't mean that that perfect person is not like right around the corner because you're so focused on what you got going on. They may have something going on. You two may be able to work together. Things can evolve. Things aren't always going to start perfect. So be mindful. Don't, give yourself a break.
Mhm.
Everyone is coming from someplace.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Grace.
that's working out.
Grace starts with you. You got to
It
start on
does.
yourself
Starts
first.
with you.
Mhm.
All right, y'all. So it's like 8 o'clock, and I want to recognize Eugene put
Yeah, what's
a
up, Gene?
comment in it. Dating is the end. He's talking about we confuse dating with like if it's a marriage, and some of us do 3 days. We married to the person. We meet them. And I do agree with that. So,
Yep. And that's not just
Yeah.
women though. Let me tell you, I have dated some people and they didn't have my whole future planned. I'd be like, wait, what? Bye. Like you can't wait, we say back up. Like, I don't even know you. And so when people, that's the truth though. People think that dating is like, we sleep together, whatever, and then all of a sudden there's a title. You have to have a conversation, right? And both parties have to understand what that means moving forward. Because we had a moment, it doesn't mean that moment's supposed to be a lifetime or another month or even another day. Like it could be that moment, and that moment now is over. And so we have to just kind of, people don't want to communicate. That people are afraid to be rejected,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know how to have the conversation that says that no might be the end of the conversation.
yeah.
Mhm.
Afraid of being alone, afraid of not having or that person not wanting us anymore because we're not submitting into
But
what
whether you say it or not doesn't mean it ain't the truth, right? Because
exactly.
that person still ain't yours. You can fantasize about it all day. It ain't yours.
Yes.
And then there are those rare moments when it works. Because I'm telling you right now, my husband and I didn't date. We've been together ever since we met.
That's yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
we've
But
been
that's
together.
natural though. That in a
It
lot
is
of
that.
ways that could be natural. I, I'm big on if I like you and you like me and we go out to dinner and then tomorrow you won't go hang out again and we got that kind of vibe. You'll literally look up and it be 6 months later and it's like, damn, I ain't dealt with nobody but you. And to me, some of those I've had like one or two of those, right? Like my wife, my ex-wife. I blinked my eyes and we was together 10 years.
Yep.
And I'm like, he must like you like that. You know what I'm saying? Right? But apparently I did. You know what I'm saying? And I think the sad thing I think about that is though, I've been chasing that again,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's a high.
Because
It's high.
it's like that was effortless. And had we not been so young, right, it probably would have lasted 50 years. So now me in my older age is like I know it's possible, so that's kind of what I've been looking for. You know, somebody that has been effortless with like on dating. You know, don't ask me where we going. Don't. I mean, when I say where we going, I mean like what are we doing here? Like, what you mean? What we doing? You like it here, huh? I ain't complaining about you being here. So why is you asking me
The Gemini women, you
And
told
I
me
don't
your
know.
wife was a Gemini, huh?
this? You done messed it up, bro.
She
You
was a
know.
Gemini.
Yeah, so we kind of like just go with the
Okay.
flow anyway. So it's like whatever.
Man, hold on. Listen, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You be spitting that Gemini. My last was a Gemini. She done messed it up. If I'm 100% be on zodiac sign part of your personality, she done messed it up. I don't want to ever deal with another Gemini again. You know, I'm
Well, I got
serious.
news. My husband and I, we're not
Listen,
supposed to be together at all. He's a Leo and I'm a Taurus.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
wow.
yeah, but
We
you.
are not
Oh,
supposed to
listen.
be together.
But
So
Darlene,
my
you
point
are
is,
awesome because Tauruses are awesome. Like you can't, it's unmatched.
right,
Like you, how do you not like us? You know, right?
Taurus,
We are caterers. We are lovers. We caregivers. You
yeah,
know, we are generous. You know, but we crazy on the back end.
oh yeah,
If
Very,
we
Yes,
realize we,
very,
very much
we
so.
you know.
very,
I can
If
agree.
I
very.
realize all that was in vain, I turn into the evil bull that you think I am. And then
yeah,
I'm
Absolutely.
gonna tell you.
Mhm.
very,
I gave you my best on the front end, and you turned me to this. So now we can just end this. I don't even be trying to hold on to it after that, like because
right,
I know myself. Once it's tainted, I'm kind of done.
Mm.
right. You're
Mm.
all the way correct though. But I wanted to acknowledge Demetrius. And did I say your name right, Demetrius?
Mm-hmm. Demetrius.
You're absolutely right about that, the communication piece and all that good stuff. I wanted to validate that because, of
Mm-hmm.
course, everyone's situation is a little different. There are those moments where it just works,
It
right?
works.
About
Absolutely.
my situation,
Mhm.
but you're all the way right about, wait a minute, we got to have some conversations, especially in today's day. Back in the day in the 70s, my
It
parents,
was different. Absolutely.
my parents were married for 50 until my dad passed away. They were married for like 53 years, okay? Got married at 20. Okay, but they had more sense in their pinky than today people having 10 fingers, right? So they could get married sooner back in the day and there weren't all of these things going on. But
Mm-hmm.
today's day, yes, there needs to be
You
communication.
got to
You
because
have,
now people, everybody, they poly, they got all these
oh,
alphabets
it's like,
and
Yes.
and all these things, and you got to understand what you about to enter into. Like we need to have a conversation because I don't know what people are into these days, and we look. I don't want you to assume nothing about me, and
right,
I ain't gonna assume nothing about you.
Mhm.
We gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it because and I have had moments where it was natural, right?
mm-hmm.
And in those times I got married, right?
Yeah,
So but when it ain't if it don't flow, I ain't forcing it.
right.
Right, right.
So is that like sexual attraction or
All
just
right.
No,
when you
so
say that way you just
I think you can't base relationship on sexual attraction.
Yeah, in my case, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it was all about sex. It was just, it just literally when we met, it was like a whole beautiful interview that happened, right?
Mhm.
And then he called me, didn't call me right away, but he called me like about 3 weeks later. And then our energies just worked. And he just has a great personality and a lot of fun. And it just worked. The
Mm.
level of attentiveness and fun and great that it just worked.
His vibe, his overall vibe.
Yes,
And
yes.
and that, and it
And
has to be a vibe.
it
For
wasn't difficult. Next minute I'm at his parents' house in the middle of the night and he's rolling the ball to make the dog run around and we make his parents wake up and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and we're drunk. It was hilarious. I'm just saying it was just we were having fun.
you ain't crazy, you crazy, he crazy. Let's do crazy together.
It works. It works.
So y'all, if we gonna wrap up, it's like a couple of minutes after 9, and
Yeah, fun.
I mean after 8, Lord.
Yeah, I got
It's been a day, y'all. It's been a day. So we working people here.
yeah.
So I appreciate you guys for coming on and
You're
supporting my
welcome.
podcast and giving good conversation and great stuff. And guys, I want you to continue to tune in on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock.
Right. Yep.
And so we're going to continuously bring good topics, have different perspectives. If any of you guys haven't and not afraid of being vulnerable and up on this podcast talking, you can always come on and just give and have that conversation with us. But you can pop on at YouTube at K Reed to Be, on Facebook and IG, KPR Productions LLC, y'all. And I finally got me a TikTok page for Winedown Wednesday. And I want all you single people to come out and support the event on May the 16th. Is we're gonna be speed dating, y'all, over at LaRue's. So come on if you're planning on participating in that. And I'm gonna have you guys to register the people. You're not going to be forced to participate in the speed dating, but guys, I need y'all to come out because I don't want to have all ladies there and we speed dating with each other. That's not going to be fun. So you might wind up and get lucky that night. You might get lucky 4 or 5 times, but we're going to be speed dating and it's going to be lots of fun. So come on out, bring the fellas, bring your girls, and let's see what's cracking. Until next Wednesday, love you guys and be safe out there in these New Orleans streets.
Yes. Bye. It's been a pleasure. Until next time. Bye.
So